Good afternoon, evening, or morning. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Gigo, and today we are back at the Hill project. In my previous episode of this project, we did the installation of the plumbing works and then the electricals, but I forgot to talk about this, this part of the whole process, which is the spacer blocks. It's called what they are putting underneath the iron rods are called the spatial blocks, and this prevents the iron rod from sticking onto the wood because we're gonna do a concrete casting, and if they don't put these blocks underneath the iron rods, then the iron rods are sitting on the wood. So when the concrete is dry and then you remove the wood underneath, you're gonna see the iron bars lining up underneath the ceiling. That's why you see most of the buildings, you see the ceiling coming out. You see those iron rod, the rusted ones, showing there. And then when it rains, or maybe it's when it starts rusting, you see the marks underneath. So that's something we have to watch out. So make sure that when they are doing your concrete casting, they have to space. They have to put that thing there so that the iron rods will be hanging in the concrete. So that is it for that. So I did mention in that episode that's my previous episode, that we have to put some measurements, before we can get our materials to site, because we are building on a steep hill and bringing materials to site is very difficult. Just imagine you have a tipper truck, to pour sand or stones here. How is it gonna do it, because of the slope? So, but the reason why we're really doing this is because we are trying to bring, the mixer machine, for the decking, and they couldn't come there. We have three people that came on site, and they're like, no, it's not possible to get the machine down there because of the slope, because the machine is heavy, and if you should push that thing there, yeah, they were scared. So most of them came, they left. They came and they left. So then we have to put this measurement right there so that it will be easy for them to push their machine down there so they can work. So these are extra costs which can just happen on site. You are not planned for this, but it may happen. So when we are buying our land, we should please watch out. So this is a subject that we will come on later in today's video. I will touch on that subject. When you are buying your land, things that you should watch out for when you're buying your land. So that's what they're doing, trying to clear the road, put more sand, get a little bit level, before we can do. And later on in this video, even after all of this, whilst they were bringing the cement on site, one of the truck, the Kia Rano, one of them got stuck in there, and we have to put them out. And also to bring the machine, you see the slope. Where are you going to fix a mixture machine there to work? That means we have to mix it on top, and we have to drive all the way down there. And also, if we don't put these things in place, we have to carry the sand and stones all the way from the hill, bring it down there. So yeah, that's a lot of jobs, that's a lot of job, especially those building on the hill can testify to this. So if you are building with someone who doesn't have the engineer mind, who doesn't have the experience, yeah, such people, they will just work with you till it becomes difficult, and then they just leave the project and then they just run away, after they've taken the initial money to just lay the blocks, and when it comes to the critical work, they will just run away because they have no idea of what to do. But just because they know you have the money, and they just they just want to get paid of doing the easy job, they will come and do the easy job, and then they leave the hard job for you to do. So even bringing the machine to this site, the concrete machine to this side, we have to rent the backhoe. We have to rent a backhoe so that the backhoe can bring it to the machine. Human beings cannot do that. It's very dangerous with the slope. So that's one thing I would like to mention in today's video. So what are some of the things that you have to look out for if you are buying your land? We all know that most of the things that people normally watch out is the location, which is very important. but we only look at the geographical location of the land and also the name. What is the name of the place? If the place is popular, has the name, and that's what most of the people sell. They try to sell you the location, the name, but as as a building construction company, we suggest that you should look at the land itself. The how the land looks like. Is it a slopy land? Is it a rocky land? Is it clay land? Is it because if you look a little bit further, if you look on the downside of this project, you notice that most of the houses there are in water. They are built on water. Understand? So sometimes you should check, the location of the land, the texture of the soil that you are going to use. That's why when you get in touch with us immediately, before you even purchase your land, we can go and check the land for you. Or when you buy your land, before you even start with your drawing, before you pay money for an architect to draw for you, you can just go and check on the land and know the texture of the land and know which structure, if you put out there, will help you, you know will not cost you so much money. Understand? So even with this client that we are working for, when he got in touch with us, he told my contractor whatever he wanted to do. My contractor didn't really give a feedback. It was, I think, almost like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. He wasn't hearing from my contractor, but not knowing, we were already doing our search, on the land. We went there with a team to do, our search, how we're going to work, because we have to consult the team. My contractor is not working alone, he's working with a team. So if he agrees to work there, the other group, also have to agree that, okay, let's do this together because we like to work together as a team. So so the owner contact sent me a different email that he hasn't heard from my contractor, so it's taking too long. And then I told him that, because I also get a lot of emails, from people who wants to build. So when he mentioned that his house on the hill, I said, is this your land? He said yes. And I told him that we were there just yesterday to look at the land, with the team and everything. But we are working, back doors, when you because the thing is, when it comes to land issues, you is land is an issue in Ghana. Land is issue in Ghana, and you don't want to be on a site where land guys will come and beat your team. So we always do our check before we even step on the land to work for you, because we don't know if the land belongs to you or not. You understand? And maybe you are not in the country, and when the land guys come, they are going to beat our team. They are going to seize our materials. You understand? Meanwhile, if you don't do your check, we pay for the penalty. So we know all of those things. So those of you that have sent us email and you haven't heard from us yet, we are doing our checks before we respond to you guys. Understand? So the check, as I always say, that we check, cross check, and double check. It is something that we really do, with our team. Yeah, but that is just by the way. So the other thing that you have to look out for is for the high tension. So after you've checked the land and you know that this is not like a clay land, it's not a waterlog or stuff, you can ask questions. When you buy the land, you can ask questions. Actually, the best time to buy land is when during the rainy season. Understand? So then you know how the roads look like when you are going to the land. You understand? If it's muddy and all those stuff, because the drivers that delivers materials, the stone, the sand, when they are delivering your materials and the road is not good, they will charge you more. They will charge you more because some of them come and then they get stuck. Some of them also get fault with their trucks and stuff. So they look at all of those things to charge you, which will eventually cost you so much, with your project. Understand? So that's also one thing we should do. But we know that not all of us can, wait till the rainy season before we go to check and buy land. That's why I always say consultation is always good. That when you do consultation, those of us that are in the industry for a long time, when we see the land even during the dry season, we know this is a waterlog, this is a clay, this is what is good for this or that. So that's why consultation is very a key. It's a key before you begin your project. These are the things that you have to watch out for, not just going straight with the course of the structure. You have to watch out for all of those things before even you begin with your work. You understand? Because what these guys are doing now, this is supposed to be done before even the project starts. You have to prepare all the ground and all of those things before you begin with the actual structure. I understand. But as I said, we took over this project, so we are trying to put all of those things in place before we push forward. So that is it. So as I said, the next step that you have to watch out for is for high tension. You have to know where the last high tension is when it comes to electricity, because you don't want to be buying all the poles from where the last high tension is to your site. That is if you are done with your structure and you don't really have neighbors around you, or maybe all your neighbors are on solar, most of them are on solar, and most of them don't have electricity, meaning you have to buy all the poles from the high tension to your place, which is also additional cost to you. And if the roads are not that good, that means you have to construct the road so that you get access to your house. So these are one things that you should watch out for when you are buying your land. Another thing is that you have to check the distance from where you're going to build your house to where the next house is. And I mean the next house is not the uncompleted house. The next house should be a house that people are staying, so that you can keep your building materials with those people. Because you don't have if you don't have a safe place to keep your building materials, it is a challenge. It is a big challenge if you don't have a place to keep it. So you have to look that, hey, I'm buying my land here and I want to build in the next 2 years. So I'm going so fast, I'm going to build so fast. I need a place to keep my materials. Sometimes you can put a container there and keep them in, but then still, if your neighbor or the person living around is far from you, it's difficult to check. It's difficult for the person also to go and check. And so that's one thing we should watch out, because I also have that same experience with my Dowenya project. Before I had someone who was keeping, where I was keeping my building materials, but I paused for some time, and then the people started cutting the iron rods, and what they told me is that they come during the rainy season. So when it is raining, there's no construction, nobody goes on site. So if you have a land where it's muddy, people cannot easily get access to that place. That's where they go to steal the things, because they know nobody is coming to this place when it's raining. When it's muddy, there's nobody coming. So that's where they go to steal. So we should pay attention, to that. So as I said, one of the challenges, that's what you can see now. You know, even after level the ground a little bit with the machine and the sand and stone, this track still got stuck in there. And all of this might come with extra costs that you would never know. Understand? So, and please note that I'm not saying that everybody building is going to face these challenges. You might face one or two, or you might prevent, some of these things from happening if you take these precautions. So my next point will be about watching out for the community. So that is like where you are buying your land. Some of some of it is developed, some are not that really developed, some are really in the bush, and sometimes most people fall for the tricks of this real estate agents. They tell you nice stories. Hey, this person has his land here. 20 people have bought this land. 70 people have bought. They are coming, and then you get excited to jump, on the deal. Sometimes it's best to watch out, in the community, and look at how many houses are under construction in the area, how many houses are also completed in the area. To me, if I'm buying a land and they show me this is your land and I'm standing on the land and I don't see at least 5 houses completed in that area where I'm standing, that means if they give you your land and you stand on your land and you turn around 360 and you don't see at least 5 houses which are completed, and also 5 houses which are undertaken, which are, under construction, that land is not for you. That land might be for your kids. Understand? So that is a long-term investment. You understand? Because most people begin building and they don't finish. So those houses will just stay there. And if you don't have at least 5 neighbors, that you can walk to if you need anything, is a problem. It's a problem because I see most people are buying land at locations, and then if you ask of their age, they are already in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they are buying land in, like, in a place where the roads are not good. The place is not even demarcated. You understand? You don't know who is your neighbor. You don't see anybody around, and you are 50, 60, 70 years. Just go for the next 10 years. How will the place look like? Is it going to be a community? It's fine that maybe some people want to live off grid and they want to grow their own things, and they want to live, have their privacy. If that is what you are going for, then it is a perfect, thing for you. You understand? But if you are new in the country and you really don't know much about the country, sometimes you need a community. You have to be in the community to adapt, to society. You understand? So that's one tip that we should also watch out for. And talking about long-term investment, I think this is the best time. This is the best time to buy land, for your generations, especially the black Americans coming back home. These days there are so many lands going for cheaper price. I think with 1,500 you can get a nice size land to buy. I think this is the time to invest for your kids. You understand? Buy as much as you can buy, an acre, 2 plot, 3 plot, and just leave it for your kids, to come and develop, so that they don't go through the stress that you have to go through now to build your own house and do your stuff, because they are more modern than us, like than the older people. And maybe you might build your house, you want a simple house because you are old, you're getting old, you don't need all those fancy stuff. But then when they get, in the next 10 years, they want to live in a modern house. So they might not like to live, in your house, and they will also be in Ghana. So then they need their own space. And for them not to go through that stress, it will be best if you can already purchase a land, in this kind of community where it's still developing. People are still buying lands and there are no houses around yet. This is an investment for them. They might not see the future now, you understand? Because if you ask them to buy it, they will tell you, yeah, they don't want to go to Ghana, or the place is bushy, it's not a nice, because they are looking at the city. But because of your age, you lived your life, so you understand. But they will not understand you that they have to live in those places. They want to be in the city, and it's expensive. So if you buy those land and you just put it down for them, when they grow up and they understand that, hey, this is the real life, and at that time also that place will be developed. You see a lot of people living in that area and they would love to also live there. So then, yeah, you can decide to sell it for your own case, or you give it to them. That is your choice. So that's a long-term investment. So to me, my advice, the black Americans coming home, the Africans living abroad, if you have kids who is like under 5 years old, you know, buy the land now, because there are corporations, there are big investors who are coming and buying the lands in acres. They are buying the lands in acres. So the lands are going very fast. The real estate agents are also coming, buying the lands in acres and building estates and stuff. So if you're out there, you are in the diaspora, black American or African, who is living in the diaspora, you have a kid who is at the age of 5, just buy that land for them. Just buy those lands, and with 1,500 you can buy a nice land. Just buy it, just leave it for them. When they grow up, it will be their time to stay there. Like I said, my Pam Pam project, my grandfather bought that land 40 years ago. and now it is like it is booming. Like that's where everybody wants to come now. Everybody wants to come to Pampram. Everybody wants to live in Pampram. And now also you have land issues because the more people get crowded, the more the land, you hear issues about the land. So when you buy it, when there's nobody there, you have your document, you are safe. Understand? So my grandfather took that bold step 40 years ago. He had no issue, and I just walked in, to enjoy, his labor. But now, if you should buy land in Pam Pam, you have to go through a lot of stress. You have to do your search. You have to go here, and it's so much stress. So this is the time. Maybe we were not able to, to get it that easy, but we can make it easy for our next generation. If we don't, then the issue still continues from generation to generation. Just imagine that you find out that your parents own a piece of land at the residential areas in Accra, the Trasaco, the cantonment, the Osu, and the airport area. Like, how will you feel if you should get that information today? How will you feel? So let's give that kind of feelings to our kids. Let them grow up, let them see that, hey, my grandfather or my parent bought this land at Ada or at Cape Coast, at Gomafete, at Dodoa, all those places that are coming up now. Let them say, oh, my parents also did this for me. You understand? So that's the dream. That's the goal. And one tip is also that it's good to buy lands in group. So let's say if you're a group of 3 or 4, and you all buy, 1 acre. Let's say you are 4, you buy 1 acre and you share it among yourselves. It brings this challenge, among yourself. If one person is serious and a person is building, and you are seeing the development of your friend building on the same next to you, you also feel motivated to also do something, and that's a very big motivation. And let's say one of them is able to finish his house faster, you have the chance to stay at his or her place when you visit, to monitor your own project. And if one comes out with a good contractor, you all can use. If one person goes wrong with something, you all can learn from that. So it's also the best to buy. When you're buying, when you find a good deal, try to convince 2 or 3 or more friends to come along with you, so that you do it together, so you are not alone, and you don't feel like you are going through all this stress alone. You understand? So that's one thing also that we have to watch out. And to conclude the whole thing, I would like to say that no matter how the land is, the nature of the land, the location of the land, building is possible. It's possible to build on anything, even in water. It's possible to build in water, but just that you have to know the consequences that comes beside it. What you have to put in more. If your land is not flat, your land is not the average land, you understand, which is quite difficult to come across. And last but not the least, if someone is selling land to you, and you see that the neighborhood is developed, there are houses around, people are living around. After you've seen the land with the owner or the agent, kindly please do go to the neighbors, talk to them, ask questions, because they live around and they know what's going on in that area. So just move to some of the neighbors who are around, ask them about the land that you want to buy, and if there's anything, they will let you know. So these are my tips for now. Thanks for staying with me till this far. I really do appreciate your time spent on the channel, and I will see you in my next episode, where we will do the concrete casting. It also has its own challenges that came with it, and I will share it with you guys. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thanks to each and every one of you who has been sharing my videos. I got a notification that there are people sharing my videos, and I was blown away with the numbers. So thank you very much. Keep supporting and keep helping, and I'll see you in my next episode. Let's do it.
Take me back to place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we